Now, if I can call up to the front, our portfolio chief from Lubican Lake, Chief Billy Joe Lubican, to provide, we're starting our closing ceremonies. So the chief is going to leave us with a message, that I've got a little bit of housekeeping closing stuff, and our elder is going to close the session with a prayer.
Thank you, Danse. So the question was, what's the word in our language for Minga? It's mamao kamatawin. So just in case. Okay, I just wanted to, a couple of days ago, yesterday, I told you a story about Kikohagi, a wolverine. And I didn't quite finish because I had 10 minutes, so I've got 10 minutes now again. So I just, the reason why I told you that story was just to try to encapsulate what it is about indigenous philosophical, indigenous educational philosophy. What it was. Now, if you look back, first of all, one thing I'd like to say is for those of us within Treaty 8, education is a treaty right. And Treaty number 8 was signed 117 years ago in 1899. And one of the first things that happened was the Indian Act was in place. And with this Indian Act in place, one of the things that the federal government did was they had church groups apply for who would teach Indian children. And that was to take the wigwam out of the child. So our educational experience hasn't been all that great. Our education experience has been used as a forced assimilation tool. So you probably can wonder why most Aboriginal parents, grandparents, who have gone through that system of residential school don't embrace education, especially the present educational system. So how do we go about changing that? And one of the things of being able to do that is, of course, change the philosophy, or what drives, our education. Because at this present time, although residential schools have been closed down, some of the educational system that we use now to this day are still remnants of that. So, and to me, as an educator also, and have been for close to 40 years, this is not the reason why we have such a dismal rate, of graduates within our Aboriginal communities, and one of the ways of being able to change that, as I said, is to change that, what drives us. Right? And I know right now, a lot of the things that we've been doing are geared to that. That's what we're trying to change. And one of the things that one of the ways of being able to do that is doing more outdoor education programs, for example, because it really marries how Indigenous students learn. And I know for one thing also, we've been running these camps for about 5 years now. And, you take any problem behavior child out into these camps, and you wouldn't think, you think that was a model student. That's how effective these camps are. Especially if they're a little bit beyond 3 days. Because 3 days is how long it takes for your biological clock to reset. and then the real learning starts, right? I know, you wonder, what is educational, Indigenous educational philosophy? Well, my parents, both my parents didn't go through a Western school system, but I can say that both probably had PhDs, if you were to describe it that way, because they knew how, what it was that makes the world go around in there, and that's what we were taught. I didn't learn how to speak English until I was 9 years old, and to that time, how I was taught was how my parents were taught, my great-grandparents, and so on, right, for thousands of years. So that system works, we know that. So, if something works, why can't we bring it back? And I think that's what we're attempting to do. So, I know for the next 10 years, things are going to, improve even more. And I know there's talk about wage parity. There's talk about curriculum development that uses our knowledge, and whether that's through Alberta Education or whether that's through our own organizations. But it's coming, right? As Dale always says, like the train has left the station. It's time for us to get on and get the job done. So thank you very much for all the teachers here. I know you're dedicated, all the hard work, all the compassion that you show to the students. That is so good. That is so awesome of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chief. Wow, what an amazing couple of days. All the breakout sessions we had, all the information we learned, new friends we've met, and I just have some closing words I'd like to share with you. 25 years ago, imagine how old were you 25 years ago? Were you born? But 25 years ago, the drums were beating. They called the warriors in Oka at Katanaki. 25 years ago, the Canadian military stormed in Katanaki. There were gun shells firing. The Canadian military. 325 years ago, the people from Katanaki were disputing their land, their territory. 25 years ago, in LA, Rodney King's accusers, the police that beat him, dozens of police were acquitted. 25 years ago, riots took place in South LA. 25 years ago on the same day, the military jumped into Katanaki. 5 years ago, the drums rang and called the warriors, called all the Aboriginal people. Idle No More was alive. I've heard the drums in Halifax with the Mi'kmaq. I've heard the drums in Montreal with the Mohawks. I've heard all the nations on the march in Ottawa on Wellington Street. I've heard the Cree and the Ojibwe drums in Winnipeg. I've heard the Cree, the Dene, the Blackfoot drums in Alberta. I've heard the drums with the Salish and the Haida on the West Coast. The drums are calling us. I want you to put your hand over your heart. I want you to feel that beat. The drum is calling. That's the beat of Mother Nature, calling for you, calling for the warrior in you. We all have a job. We all have a role. I'd like to thank you. for your participation, allowing me to be your MC for the last 2 days. And in that, I would like to call upon our elder, Harry Lawrence, to give you greetings or goodbyes to wherever you're going home. But whenever you're at loss, put your hand over your heart and remember the drum is calling. You have that beat in your heart. Never forget that.
Thank you very much. Certainly been a pleasure for me to represent the Treaty 8 elders. And it was nice to see all the educators here joining us to make some changes in our school system. You know, we're all challenged in our communities, and I have a wish list that I'd like to see, that Indigenous training, Indigenous culture, Indigenous history, under the UN Declaration and the TRC be included in our curriculum. That's going to open a few doors for our First Nations kids to start recognizing who they are and helping them with their identity. So I want to thank you, all the educators, for being here. And I'm going to say a closing prayer if we're ready. Are we?
Yes.
In my language. You can just remain seated. You can just remain seated. I pray for the good day that we had last 2 days here. On the down. Let's come to the Sabbath. We enjoy that. The city scat right. Yeah, look at which of them. There is a commodity. In our look at the hero. Persist master, was taken going. We all was just after unique. It's been weeks now, for what did that? Let's have a safe journey home. Amen.